Yes, children. In continuation with coordination chemistry, let us see how coordination compounds are colored. Now, coloration is due to DD transition. Now, you have seen already that electrons, they are present in T2G and EG orbitals because the D orbital, in the presence of ligands, they split into two. One is of lower energy level and the other one is of higher energy level. So what happens, supposing if 3 electrons are there in T2G and if energy is absorbed by those electrons, then those electrons will go from T2G to EG. So when they climb up, you know very well that any electron which is moving to a higher level will not stay there for long. It has to come back to its original level. So when it is coming back, it will release the energy whatever it has absorbed. So that released energy, to whichever wavelength it is associated, that color will be reflected. So this is what is taking place in the case of DD transition also. Energy absorbed by the complex excites the electron from T2G level to EG. Now this excitation of electron does not happen in the absence of ligand. Okay, this crystal field splitting, it does not occur at all in the absence of ligand. So the substance will remain colorless. If DD transition is not there, then coloration will not be there. Now for example, the complex TiH2O 6 times Cl3. When you heat it, it becomes colorless. Why? Because all these H2O molecules will escape on heating. So it will become simply TiCl3 and that is why it will become colorless. Same way, anhydrous copper sulfate is white, whereas CuH2O 4 times sulfate dot H2O, this is blue. This we generally write it as CuSO4 dot 5H2O. This is how we write, is it not? But how it is present actually, 4 molecules of water are coordinately bonded to the central metal ion and 1 molecule of water is present as water of hydration and it is blue in color. Now if you heat it, what will happen? This water molecule will escape and because of this water of hydration only, it is blue in color. And if this water molecule, it gets lost, then it will become anhydrous copper sulfate. Same way, this coloration you find even in gemstones. You have heard of ruby, emerald and all that. Now why such gemstones are colored? That is also because of the presence of certain ions which are responsible for coloration. So they say in the case of mineral corundum, which is nothing but Al2O3, if it contains 0.5 to 1% of chromium ions, which will undergo DD transition, Cr3 plus will have 3D3 configuration, right? So 3D3 means all the 3 electrons will be in T2G and that may end up undergoing transition to EG. And it is, the color is red, ruby. Same way, instead of Cr3 plus, if it contains Fe3 plus ions, then the gemstone is called as topaz. Same way, emerald is there. That is there in the mineral beryl. If it contains Cr3 plus ions, it transmits green color. Okay. So this is how gemstones are there. Now this is what is about coloration. Now let us see what is meant by stability of coordination compounds. Now say for example, any metal ion with an oxidation state of A plus is combining with n number of ligands having a charge of B minus and it is getting converted into a complex MLN times the whole C plus. Now here what is the condition for this equilibrium reaction is plus A plus minus NB should be equal to plus C. This is the condition whenever you write any equation. So you can take this example, Cu2 plus plus 4 NH3 gives you this. Now here A is 2 plus and here NH3 is a neutral ligand, so there is no charge, and that is equal to 2 plus charge on the complex. Right? Same way you can take another example, Ni plus 4, sorry, Ni2 plus 4 Cn minus will give you Ni Cn 4 times 2 negative. Now if you take this equation, again plus A is plus 2, 4 into minus 1 is minus 4 is equal to minus 2. So this is the basic concept that you have to understand. Now there are two things that you need to know. One is called as dissociation constant or instability constant, and the other one is called as stability constant or formation constant. Dissociation constant means the complex is getting dissociated, and stability constant shows formation of the complex. Okay, now this is formation of the complex. This equation is showing formation of the complex. Now for this, if you want to write stability constant, then it is denoted by the symbol beta, that is equal to the product of concentration of product upon the product of concentration of reactants. How you used to write a simple equilibrium expression, that is how you write. Now this is for stability constant or formation constant. Now what will be for dissociation constant? It will be inverse of this. Supposing if you call this as beta, then your stability constant is the reciprocal of instability constant. Instability constant is nothing but dissociation constant. Dissociation constant means your reaction will be in the reverse direction, right? So beta is equal to 1 upon Ki, that is instability constant. Okay, now what is this beta? It is a measure of stability of the complex in solution. If the beta value is greater, then the stability of the complex is also supposed to be greater. Now, not only that, it depends even on the strength of the ligand. Now Cu2 plus, when it is associated with ammonia molecules, you are getting a ammoniated complex, and when it is associated with Cn minus as ligand, then you are having Cn 4 times 2 minus. Now look at the beta value in both the cases. In the case of Cn minus as ligand, the beta value is to the order of 10 power 27, whereas as ammonia as ligand, it is only 10 to the power 11. So this shows, what does it show? It shows that this is a more stable complex. Why? Because the strength of the ligand is more. Okay. So for the same metal ion is same Cu2 plus in both the cases. So for the same metal ion, the strength of the ligand decides its stability. Okay. Strength of the ligand decides its stability. Now the formation can also be shown in 4 different steps. One by one the ligand is added. First it becomes Ml, then one more ligand is added, Ml2, then third ligand is added, fourth ligand is added. Now if you take beta 4, that is the sum of all these, you will have Ml4 upon M into L to the power 4. So in simple, M plus 4L giving you Ml4. So this equation if you consider, now when you add all these things, this is what you will land up, right? So what is this beta 4? It is a product of stability constants of all the steps, all the individual steps. Supposing you take beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4. So the sum of all these steps is called as beta 4. So what you need to remember is, greater the strength of the ligand, greater the stability of the complex. Now let us see bonding in metal carbonyls. Okay. Now these are a few metal carbonyls: nickel tetracarbonyl, iron pentacarbonyl, and tungsten hexacarbonyl. These are all metal carbonyls. Now I have shown the molecular orbital configuration for the molecule that is CO. CO is carbonyl group, that is nothing but carbon monoxide, which is the strongest of all ligands. Okay. Now this is having 14 electrons, 6 in the case of carbon and 8 in the case of oxygen. Total number of electrons, it is 14. And these 14 electrons, how they are accommodated, I have shown in the molecular orbital configuration. This you have studied last year. You need to know now also. Sigma 1 is 2, sigma star 1 is 2, then sigma 2 is 2, sigma star 2 is 2. Then pi 2p x2 equal to pi 2p y2, then sigma 2p z2. Now यहाँ तक आपका 14 electrons खत्म हो गया. Now you also have the anti-bonding molecular orbitals, but they are all vacant. Okay. Now if you consider nickel, nickel is having 3d8, 4s2, and in the metal carbonyls you will find that all the metals are showing zero oxidation state. So metal in the zero oxidation state will have 3d8, 4s2. The same metal in the excited state, what will happen? These two electrons will shift over to 3d level. So 3d will get completely filled and your S will become vacant. Right? In the excited state, what happens? The S electrons move to D and get paired. So S becomes vacant. Now sp3 hybridization will take place. Why sp3? Because there are 4 carbonyl groups. So how many ever ligands are there? That many hybrid orbitals have to be formed. So it is undergoing sp3 hybridization. Right? Okay. Now these sp3 hybrid orbitals, 4 of them, they are vacant. Nickel has arranged empty spaces for the incoming pair of electrons from the ligands. तो ये चारों की चारों खाली है. Okay. Now in the case of carbon monoxide, you know that this carbon is acting as the donor atom because this is the one which is getting connected to nickel. So it is attached through this lone pair. That is this lone pair of electron on carbon. You know the Lewis structure of carbon monoxide. This is having one lone pair here and one lone pair here, and the attachment is through carbon. Now this pair of electron, how many? Since it is 4 in number, 4 pairs of electrons will be coming, and these 4 pairs of electrons will be accommodated in each of them. Now after hybridization, all the orbitals will have equal energy. So one pair of electron in each it will go. Okay. So the metal carbon bond in metal carbonyls, they possess both S and P character. Why? Because 4S and 4P, they are shuffling, is it not? Now this MC sigma bond, it is formed by the donation of lone pair of electrons on the carbonyl carbon into a vacant orbital of the metal. Which is the vacant orbital here? The vacant orbital is nothing but the sp3 hybrid orbital. Okay. Vacant orbital, this is the sp3 hybrid orbital. So lone pair of electrons, each pair, 4 pairs are coming, each pair is getting accommodated in each of the sp3 hybrid orbital. Now MC pi bond. Now metal is having 10 electrons here. These 2 electrons have also shifted here, so there are 10 electrons. Now this MC pi bond is formed by the donation of a pair of electrons from a filled d orbital. इनकी 3d सारे के सारे filled है. उसमें से एक pair कहाँ जाएगा? They go into the vacant anti-bonding pi star molecular orbital of carbon monoxide. So you have here vacant anti-bonding molecular orbitals and the metal electrons, nickel की जो metal electrons है वो यहाँ पे आके accommodate होंगे. ठीक है? That is MC pi bond, and with the hybrid orbital it is MC sigma bond. So what happens here? The carbon monoxide is putting its pair of electron into nickel, and in return nickel is putting its d electrons into the anti-bonding molecular orbital of carbon monoxide. So it is something like give and take policy between the two, right? Now, which is why the metal carbonyl bonds, they are very, very strong, and this effect, that is metal electrons into the anti-bonding molecular orbital and the ligand electrons into the hybrid orbital of the metal, this pairing or this accommodation of each other is what is called as synergic effect. Now this synergic effect, it strengthens the bond between carbon monoxide and the metal. That is why carbon monoxide is considered to be the strongest of all ligands.